Ezekiel 29. Here you've got God's judgment upon Egypt. Upon Egypt. Well, he says he's going to destroy Egypt so that it will no more be the confidence of the house of Israel, which brings their sin to remembrance whenever they look upon Egypt. So, Egypt represents the world. And whenever God's people trust in the world, this particularly upsets God. Because he says that it brings all their other sins back to my memory, as it were. We were called out of Egypt because when Israel were in Egypt, they were in slavery, then they went through the Red Sea, and Paul says that that is a type of our baptism into Jesus. So we are called out of Egypt, and whenever God's people have gone down to Egypt for help, this is sinful. For example, Abraham, he was in Canaan, there was a famine, he should have stayed there, but instead he goes down to Egypt because he didn't want to lose his animals to the drought, etc., and gets into all sorts of trouble down there. All the way through, God's people trusting in Egypt was a problem. Whenever Israel or Judah were threatened from the north, they ran down to the south to Egypt, said, "Come on, Egypt, come and help us against our enemies." What God wants is for us to trust in him, and the Hebrew and Greek words for faith or belief, that's what they mean, to trust. He wants us to trust in him totally. You got a problem? Go to God. I'm not saying don't use, let's say, medical science, etc., to help you through your problem, but ultimately in your heart, to God straight away, not running off to Egypt, to the world, to secular strength, and then, oh, that failed, see what God's maybe going to do for me then. No. God wants us to trust him. This is the lesson. God wants us to trust him because he wants us to be his children and totally his children. Not picking him up and dropping him down as a bit of an insurance policy. No. He wants us to totally trust him. And that is what the whole message of faith and trust in God and in the work of his dear Son is all about. So don't go to Egypt.